questions. Thank you so much for being here, and without further ado, Mayor Quinn Lucas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is good to see everybody. Thank you for coming out today. So we know that we're expecting a forecast, at least our last check, 1 to 4 inches tomorrow in Kansas City, coming throughout the day tomorrow. But I know that Kansas City is ready. Just had a chance to talk to dozens of our snowplow drivers in Kansas City. These are folks who are showing up now, will be working the overnight hours, have already been out previously pre-treating, and making sure this city will be ready to operate efficiently and effectively tomorrow. I want to commend City Manager Mario Vasquez, our Director of Public Works, Michael Shaw, our Director of Neighborhood Services, Forrest Decker, and indeed all of our team, many of whom that you never hear mentioned, who are making sure Kansas City will be running well and responsibly. Something that we have changed in recent years over what you might have thought of in Kansas City in the past is the technology all around you. You are in the Snow Command Center. What you see is something that's different than when I first became mayor. Mr. Shaw, you remember we were looking at some laminated maps, looked like they hadn't been updated since about 1985, and now you have this wonderful network that's looking at areas of the city that are most impacted, areas that will have the most need, making sure we're doing the updates with our forecasting as necessary, and more than anything that we are listening to all of you, hearing reports back, and having that interactive nature and discussion that you would expect from Kansas City. Kansas City takes snowstorms very seriously, but we also don't freak out. What that means is that we will continue to try to make sure we're building a city that can operate tomorrow. What we're doing is ensuring that we have sufficient staff to have those operations ready. So in that, I will note a few things. To ensure that we prioritize snow operations, we'll postpone our Monday pickup for trash, recycling, leaf, and brush. I'm a Monday pickup person, so that means is that we are pushed back. I'm told that means pickup will be the next day, and so really it's just postponed for one day, right? We'll be one day behind, so your Monday people will just go back to Tuesday, and they'll explain it to make sure I don't mess anything up too. Another thing that we'll make sure we do is that we have our Zero KC Extreme Weather Shelter Program. That means that 800 shelter spaces will be available for folks. No matter what happens overnight and tomorrow with the snow, we do recognize that it's cold outside. And there are a lot of folks that need those types of shelter opportunities. So Zero KC is the program to ensure that we have up to 800 shelter spaces available in Kansas City for folks to go. So thank you for making sure that we have that all addressed. Our Parks and Recreation community centers will be open tomorrow for those who need warming. And more than anything, if you have to be out tomorrow, please very simply be safe. We are Kansas City. We've been through a lot of winters. I know y'all know how to handle it the way I know you know how to handle it. One time I went to a Chiefs game when it snowed right before. No plows were even out. Everybody still found their way there. But I ask you to be responsible. If you don't have to be out, particularly if snow starts to accumulate in heavy ways, you don't need to be out. Don't be. And, of course, give lots of space to our snowplow drivers. This is not the time for you to cut them off in your Honda Civic. It's not the time for you trying to make sure you're a speed demon getting all around you. These are folks who are coming out to work hard in connection with it. So thanks again to our city staff. Thanks to all of our drivers. This will be our first winter storm, probably not our last. All the folks who do outstanding work. City Hall, our city buildings will be open tomorrow. But more than anything, we will make sure through our whole of government approach that we're addressing this snowstorm so that the city is operating and moving efficiently through Kansas City. With that, thank you for being here. I'll turn it over to our city manager, Mario Vasquez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. First of all, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving and company of your family and loved ones. You know, just a clockwork, winter begins, and I think today's the first test of preparedness. So I want to thank my team. I want to thank the staff that has come out tonight to begin the pre-treatment of our streets to make sure that tomorrow we can have a safe commute. I think it's they're pretty pumped up actually. I thought who doesn't want to be here, and everybody wants to be here today. So I mean I'm here because I guess I have to be, but they really wanted to be here. So a couple of things I think I want to highlight. I guess more than anything else, again we are ready to tackle this event. We have been training and preparing for the past few weeks, getting our equipment ready and our material ready. The staff is ready to go out there. We'll take care of things for tonight. Like the mayor said, please be respectful of the teams that's working out there. They do need your cooperation, so you can just clear the streets so they can do their work. that would be fantastic. Please be safe. Don't put yourself in harm's way, especially if you think, don't underestimate the impact of the weather. We don't necessarily know what exactly is going to happen, so please be cautious. And last but not least, check on your neighbors, especially those that are elderly, or those who have limited mobility. You don't really know what they're going through, so if you have a chance to check on a neighbor, please do so. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Director Shaw. Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Shaw, Director of Public Works. So snow season starts this evening. We will be pre-treating all of our routes today. We have about 103 routes that we'll be pre-treating, 103 residential routes, about 30 plus bigger routes, arterial routes that we'll be pre-treating today. The idea is that we have a snowstorm or a snow event that's supposed to start around 8 a.m. tomorrow with the heaviest time around between 10 and 4 tomorrow. So we want to pre-treat so that we can be able to efficiently move the snow off our streets tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow morning so that we can get Kansas City back to normal as quickly as possible. We have we're fully staffed with the staff prepared. We've been out pre-treating our hills and curves over the last couple of days with some of the frigid temperatures that we've had, which is good. So that was a good practice, if you will. So we are prepared. Some of the new things that we're doing this year is that we have increased our routes, meaning broke them down a little bit more so we can get to spaces and places a little faster than we have in years past. The second thing we've done is obviously invested in technology. Communication is important. How we get to where we get to make sure we stay on time, on task, is something that we've invested in, and also in the training, making sure that staff is trained more effectively, again, to do their job more effectively than they have in years past. So we'll continue to measure, monitor that, and continue to improve. We're not going to stay here and say we're going to be perfect, but we are going to be better, and we're going to continue to work hard to be better and give Kansas City the service that they deserve. So with that, we'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
So you're pre-treating starting tonight, you said, just to be clear?
Yes, pre-treating starts this evening, and we'll be pre-treating all the roads, residentials and arterials.
Any other questions?
When it comes to some of those road changes and infrastructure upgrades on Broadway that we've seen, with parking on the side there, is there any changes to how you're plowing that road so maybe people don't get blocked in on the side if they're parking on that roadway?
Well, no matter where you park, if you park on any kind of street, obviously we ask you to park on the north or the west side of the street as much as possible, obviously, because that allows us to clear paths better. But obviously when you have people who will be parked on the side, there is a potential of being blocked in, but with 3 inches of snow, we don't perceive that will be a huge pile to block folk in. But obviously, we would hope that people will be very mindful of the plows and try not to park on the city streets as much as possible.
All right.
I have one more question,
Yeah, sure.
sorry. With your new technology, you guys utilizing any AI components within that's helping you increase efficiency?
In this particular, not yet, but there is room for AI in our new processes. But we haven't launched that yet.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome in, everyone, to the KCTV 5 Plus streaming desk. I'm Katie Bird. The time is 8:04 on your Sunday evening. We just heard a press conference from Kansas City city leaders on how the city is prepping for the first snow of the season. Of course, it comes after the extended holiday weekend. Many people are heading back to work tomorrow morning. Everyone wants to make sure that they are prepared. I know we do have quite a few new viewers on the stream, so in case you're just joining joining, I'm going to go ahead and walk through the key points from this press conference before I turn it over to First 1-5 meteorologist Mike Nicco. So first up this evening, we heard from Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas. He had a very assuring message for the public. Of course, here in the metro, we deal with snow every single season. He emphasized the importance, just to stay prepared without freaking out. The city has also started pre-treating their residential and all roads actually starting today. So another big thing that Mayor Q actually touched on was the warming shelters. They are going to have up to 800 shelters open throughout the city tomorrow to keep the unhoused and all community members right here in Kansas City safe. We also heard from City Manager Mario Vasquez again. He said that city managers, city officials have started treating those roads today. And here at KCTV5, we have actually declared tomorrow a first warn weather day. We have been pushing out all of this information since we started receiving it earlier this week. And just yesterday, we upgraded tomorrow to a first warn weather day, as some areas in the metro are expecting upwards of up to 4 inches of snow. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a beautiful view over the Kansas City Country Club Plaza, recently all lit up, of course, on Thanksgiving night. And then we'll take it over to meteorologist Mike Nicco here in just a couple minutes, so don't go away yet.
So the impacts are pretty minimal with this storm. All right, so I understand that there was no sound. So let's go back and let's re-rack this and start from the beginning. All right. I want to make sure I take care of everybody who's watching. All right, so we've got the first 4 and 5 weather day. That's our highest impact, okay, on our scale. It goes first 4 and then first 4 and 5 weather day. So what does that mean for this particular situation? It means we are going to have impactful weather from 10 a.m. to 8 a.m., okay? That impactful weather could be roads, most likely that are going to be wet, slushy, even snowpacked. And the highest amounts of the snow is now shifting north, which does include part of the metro. So let's take a look at the winter storm impact scale. Let's start up with the medium. So this is a 2 out of 4. What can we expect out of here? Light to moderate snow. That'll accumulate from about 2 to 4 inches from south to north. And there you go. All types of road hazards are on the table, from wet, slushy, snow to even icy, as everything will freeze Monday night. Now, good news, if you're down in the 1, which is about from Olathe, Odessa to Marshall and southward, going from north to south, you're going from 2 inches down to a dusting because you have light snow, which will be falling over several hours, which will make the roads mainly wet. And if there are any areas where the roads remain wet overnight, they will turn into ice and there could be some slick spots. All right, so let's go through the timing. Here we go. The timing is 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's going to start over in Lawrence. It's going to walk across to the east and get over towards, Warrensburg in that area by 10 o'clock. We'll have a dusting to 1/2 inch. So minor impacts, low impacts, if you will, for the morning commute. But as we get to 10 o'clock, snow increases in intensity. It becomes moderate snow. And what do we mean by light snow? Light snow falls at less than 1/2 inch an hour. Moderate snow falls at about 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches an hour. So we're going to have periods of moderate snow from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So during that 6-hour period, we're going to rack up 90% or 80 to 90% of our accumulation, and that should be around 2 to 3 inches. Now from 4 to 7, it'll turn back to light snow and it'll start ending from west to east. And that'll give us another 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And that's how we get to those 2 to 4 inch totals. And with the bulk of the snow falling, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., that means we're going to have the biggest impact during our after school and evening commute. Now that impact again on major streets that, as you heard the mayor, are being treated right now, be mainly wet. Secondary streets that may be treated or not treated as well, that could be slushy. And for neighborhood streets that aren't treated at all, that could be snowy. There could be some snowy spots. The key to this snow is it's a dry snow. It's a very dry snow. Snowfall ratios, usually 10 to 1. 10 inches of snow produced by 1 inch of moisture or rain in the air. This one's going to be up around 16 or 17. So thankfully there's not a lot of moisture in the air because that ratio is still going to crank out 2 to 4 inches on 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of moisture. Okay, so that's pretty impressive. This is going to be an impressive and efficient snowmaker that is going to eventually lead to some really cold temperatures on Tuesday also. So let's kind of roll through time frame. Now I just told you what to expect. Let's put it where your neighborhood is. Let's roll through the time frame here, and you can see by the time we get to 7 o'clock, eastern Kansas, up Interstate 29, possibly around I-35. How about that? I-35 and westward. A little bit of an accumulation. Whoa, that jumped too fast. Now we jump from, let's try that again. Now we jump from 7 to 9, and you can see it spreading across just about all of our neighborhoods. But look at that sharp drop off as you head to the south and east. That's why you're under a 1 and your amounts are going to be so much lighter. Let's go from 10 a.m. all the way through to about 3 p.m. when we expect some of that heavier snow. And there you go. Look at that, 2 to 3 inches. That's really where the accumulation is, and that's why the roads are going to be most difficult during the 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock hour. And by the time we get to 8, you can see not a lot more coming out of this system. So to put it in different perspective, we want to show you the one area where there possibly could be 4-inch snow. There's going to be some pockets of 4-inch snow somewhere between the Missouri River and in and around Highway 36 on the Missouri side, okay? So that's something to remember if you're around Cameron, Chillicothe, Richmond, that area. Possibly you could get a little bit more. So we're really going to ramp up the snow, as you can see, heading into that 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock hour. In fact, it's pretty much 100%. I'm going to raise that from 80 to 100 because there's a 100% chance we're going to get snow. Now, again, the snow tapers, but the effects of that snow are going to hang around through the evening commute and could impact some of your evening plans. So here's another way to look at it, and I threw both of these together. So you could definitely see the increase in the snow. The darker purples means that's becoming some moderate snow, and you can see at 10 o'clock, it's racing right into Kansas City and right across Kansas City and back out the other side with another band possibly developing west of Kansas City moving through again. So we're going to have pockets of moderate snow during that entire time. Now you can already see at 4 o'clock a tapering happening in eastern Kansas. This will wash across most of our neighborhoods during the evening commute, and then the snow is over for the most part by 8 o'clock, unless you're closer to the Ozarks where there's one last band of moderate snow that's possible. So that's another way it plays out. Now, the reason why we invented the winter storm impact scale is because of this. I'm not trying to say anything that would shed an unpositive light on the Weather Service. They have guidelines they have to follow. So it can be kind of confusing if you look at, we have 3 different winter weather advisories. Okay, one put out by the Topeka office, which is the Monday 12 a.m. to 6 p.m., 1 to 2 inches. And then you've got the other 2 that are put out by the National Weather Service down in Pleasant Hill, or the Kansas City office. And the one box that includes Kansas City, that goes from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., 1 inch to 4 inch total from south to north. And then with the snow arriving later, north central Missouri, that again is under the National Weather Service in Kansas City. The greatest impacts for you will be from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, again, 1 inch south to 4 inches north. So that's kind of why we created the storm impact scale, to give you an idea of how this is all going to play together in one easy to understand and simple graphic. All right, we talk about how cold it's going to be. We're not only going to be dealing with snow, get the ice scraper out there, defroster's working, you have a remote starting car. Oh, I'm envious of you. You can start that car and warm it up and get it defrosted before you get in there, because temperatures only warm to about 25 degrees. And notice as we head into the evening hours, we're down to about 21 by 9 o'clock. The reason I'm showing you these temperatures is because there's a threshold, a bottom temperature that the salty brine they're putting on the road stops working. It's around 15, 20 degrees. And look at the morning lows on Monday. Okay, that's not, so everything that's out there should work. Okay, so that's good. So the first snow that falls, this should help melt it. Okay, now let's take a look at, I want to show you the temperatures for Tuesday morning, and they are going to be considerably colder. And wherever you see 15 to 20, know that that is where we could possibly be dealing with the refreeze, the ice coming back into play in the forecast. All right, let's see if I can find this forecast. Got all these graphics. You wouldn't believe all the graphics we're making. All right, forecast low tomorrow, forecast low day 2. All right, here's a look at Tuesday morning. All right, so appreciate your patience there. Notice everybody is below 20, and several of us are below 15. That's why I'm worried about a refreeze. Okay, the good news, after the morning commute, we will have a sunny afternoon, and the high temperatures for most of us will warm back barely above freezing. But we know once the sun is up and it's sunny, that just because the air temperature is not necessarily above freezing, objects that the sun is hitting and absorbing that energy will warm above freezing. So I expect by Tuesday afternoon, all of our streets to be fine. There'll be, if there's anything that did refreeze overnight and became ice, it will melt, and eventually some of that will evaporate. And so the possibility of some ice as we head into Wednesday morning is much less. All right, so Austin Farrell. Hi, Mike Nicco. Is my birthday going to get a lot of snow tomorrow in Belton? I'll give you about 2 inches, Austin. How about that? 1 to 2, probably more likely on the 2 side. So there's that. Anybody else got any questions? Other than, I know the sound was off at the beginning, and I apologize. Is it going to snow in Sedalia? Yeah, you're on that dividing line. Let's go back and answer some questions here. So let's go back to that dividing line of where Sedalia is. And Sedalia, you're looking at about 1 inch, okay? Maybe if that second band of moderate snowy shows goes through there, you can get up to 2 inches, but you're kind of on the borderline between 1 to maybe 2, okay? Again, if this storm system wobbles just a little bit, those snow totals will go one way or the other. So there we go. Victor, no snow, please. Victor, this is about as guaranteed as we get, 90 to 100% chance of this snow happening. Dottie, I wish school would get canceled. Need a day to recover from their long weekend. I feel you, Dottie. And that's been the interesting part about this is not only are we coming off a long weekend, but this is our chief meteorologist, Luke Doris's first day on the morning show. So he will be in 4:30 bright and early tomorrow on your TV, on social media, getting you ready to go. Blue Springs, looking about, you're on that borderline between 2 and 3 inches, Justin. So, I would expect, you're closer to the 3 inch. Now, this is going to be a dry snow, and dry snow sometimes doesn't stack as well as other snow. So there's that we have to contend with. What do you think is the chance of Shawnee Mission East not getting school? I think it's very low, Via, because the snow is coming in mainly after the morning commute, which means, from what I understand in my experience, schools don't get money on days that you don't go. I'm not saying that's going to be, that's going to be the balance of power between your safety and money, but there's 2 things that really are working with you. The snow is coming in after the morning commute, and it's snowing hardest during the day, okay? Which means we have our best chance of it melting during the day, because even when there's cloud cover out there, if you've ever been to the beach on a cloudy day, you could still get sunburned because the rays still get through the cloud. And even with a low sun angle this time of the year, some of those rays are going to get through down to the ground, and they're going to warm up the darkest objects, and that's going to help melt. And one of the darkest objects that'll warm is asphalt. So an asphalt street is more likely to be wet tomorrow, treated or untreated, okay? Not treated, an asphalt street is more likely to be wet than a concrete street, just because of the color. Simple as that. So because I think it'll be mainly wet during the morning commute, because the treatment will already be there, and the snowfall is so light, I think you're going to have school. Okay, will they let it out early? Now that would probably be the better question and hard one for me to answer, because if they let it out early, when are they going to let it out? Because we talked about the greatest snowfall is going to be from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So once you're at school, I think you're going to be there all day because of that. And again, buses, heavier objects, they are easier to maneuver for the most part in the snow because they're heavier. They can bite through the snow a little bit more because of their heaviness. Also, their tires are bigger and they have more of them. And, if I haven't said this before, this might be something new, that tires, when they compress and expand, as they're spinning around, they heat up. And that heat is transferred to the roads, which also helps warm the roads up. So there's different ways to heat up. So what gets colder first, asphalt or concrete? More likely concrete, because it's not going to be as warm to begin with. I'm not sure exactly of the energy loss ratio between concrete and asphalt, but just the color itself, Austin, would mean that more than likely asphalt's going to be hotter to begin with, and it's going to take longer for it to cool down. Good question. So Daniel's excited because this snow, at least on this map, has 3.1. So Daniel, I'm guessing you're in Kansas City because that's the only one with 3.1. Justin, you're right. They will probably make the call for school in the morning. They'll wake up, they can look outside, they can tune into Luke, they can tune in and see if there's any change in the forecast overnight, and make that call in the morning. Absolutely, they're going to make the call in the morning because they're going to want to see what is waiting for them in the morning and if the forecast has changed. So yeah, definitely, whatever avenue you have to find out if school is delayed or canceled, make sure that's the first thing you look at when you wake up in the morning. All right, so miss the wind forecast, blowing it all. Great question, Christy, because we talked about this is going to be a very light and fluffy snow, so it's easily movable. Good news, the wind's not very fast tomorrow, 5 to 10 miles per hour, tops. So there's going to be no blinding snow. The only reduction in visibility, and this is no joke, is if you're following a car and that car kicks up some snow, that fluffy snow that's sitting on the pavement, it kicks it up, that could reduce your visibility a little bit. But is this going to blow sideways? No, it's just going to be a light, fluffy snow that's going to fall across several hours. It's going to be pretty. It's not going to be those big fat flakes. It's going to be smaller flakes because it's a drier snow, so that's why it takes more of those smaller flakes to kind of add up to a higher amount because they're smaller than the big fat flakes that some of us saw yesterday afternoon and evening. Our local communities and state pre-treating the roads. Yes, Rachel, yes. We just heard from Mayor Q that, at least in Kansas City, Missouri, they're out there. And I know from a friend that husband works Lenexa that they're out there. They're out there getting everything pre-treated. When I got to work today at 2 o'clock, our side street was already treated. And so, yeah, they've been out there early and been getting out there early and often. Something, if you weren't with us before, I want to tell you that MoDOT, something we learned about MoDOT from a conference Luke and I attended, and of course we shared that information with the rest of the weather team, with Melissa, Stevie, and Warren. MoDOT, at best, can treat the same spot or the same road every 4 hours. I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit bigger duration as you're talking about trying to treat these roads during the day when most of us are going to be out. I mean, some of us will stay home. Some of us, if you're lucky enough and you can work from home, hey, tomorrow's your day. Do it. Absolutely. Work from home. I mean, that'll make it easier on all of us, and take advantage of that. So Nick, we haven't heard of any schools being closed. And if I'm correct, hey Katie, if school closures will be on our website, right? All right, kctv5.com. Look for the school closures there. Okay, and I'm sure we'll put them out on our app too. So Dottie's going to tell me a little bit about, all right, here's Dottie. She may have some better information than I do about school closures. They also go with how many teachers and drivers call out. If buses have trouble starting and how the roads are when they open the doors, it's a whole formula of observation and data and how many employees are going to get in coming off a long weekend. It's like rolling dice. It really is. And it's like rolling dice, me trying to tell you what they're going to do, because I can't read their minds. I can just tell you what I know based on observations and experience. And I know we're a little more cautious now than when I was in high school about sending kids to school when it snows, and I get it. All the overnight warming shelters are full for the night. If anyone knows of any that aren't full, please post. All right, Billy, we heard there was a bunch of warming shelters. We'll be sure to let you know the update on that. Are you by chance 5 years old? Oh, wow. Now let's be civil on here. Let's be civil. Okay, there's talks of creative ways of finding shelters, but if you can go to our website, that would be a good spot. Or if you know places that are normally turned into warming shelters, revisit those. Take a look at those and see if they're still doing it. Okay? All right, so it's 8:30. New information is always coming in. It comes in hourly. Our biggest models come in every 3 hours, and the long-range models come in almost every 6 hours. So what I'm going to do is call it a minute, head back to the weather office, take a look at some of the newest data. We'll put out another push alert or another forecast update via our app, Twitter, and Facebook here in about an hour or so, and then we'll be on at 10:30 with the latest, or 10, excuse me, we're on at 10 with the latest information tonight. So we're going to cover you on every avenue possible. Again, let's kind of walk through this once again for the people that are still here. I just want to show you the timeline once again, really quick, of what we expect. 5 to 10 a.m., 5-hour window in the morning, light snow, dusting to a half-inch. Half-inch to the west, dusting to the east, as this will spread from west to east. 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., that's when we get our moderate snow. That's when we get the bulk of our measurable snow. That's when, if we see the roads deteriorate, the hazards will increase on the roads during that time frame. Good news, it's right in the warmest part of the day, or one of the, as warm as it gets this time of year, which is only going to be about 26 tomorrow. And then 4 to 7 p.m., light snow, another half-inch to an inch is possible. Totals, now this isn't set in stone, but it's just kind of give you a general idea. 1 to 2 inches, kind of up to around I-70, 2 to 4 inches north of there, with the 4 inches being mainly between the Missouri River and Highway 36. Okay, so that's the way it looks right now. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your trust, and we'll continue to give you updates on those before mentioned areas and times, and I hope to see you there. Have a great evening.